Sometimes we can't understand what's in Prabhupada's books unless we understand his heart, unless we understand through his example, unless we understand through how he practically applied something. And we could actually completely misunderstand something which is so clearly stated in the books, but is so different from what he did and so different from his mood and his nature. And I want to talk about that. It's very important. As you may know, in 1970, the devotees in London created an album, and one of the songs was Govinda. And when Prabhupada heard that song, he became very emotional. And at that point, he said, this song should be played in the temple every day. Prior to that, at least the temple I was in, we were reciting the Govinda prayers, the Brahma Samhita, a few verses. And Prabhupada said, it's auspicious. He said, Lord Chaitanya chanted this every day. So that's what we did. But when Prabhupada heard, then he said, this should be played. And that became the standard, as you know, in all of our temples for greeting of the deities. Then Prabhupada, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, wrote a purport in which he said, if a man appreciates the face or the voice, the singing of a woman, it's a subtle fall down for a brahmachari, a vanaprastha, or sannyasi. That was new, and I got some brahmacharis in Los Angeles thinking, maybe we should not be hearing the voice of Jamuna every day. So they wrote a letter to Prabhupada expressing that. We're brahmacharis, we're hearing a woman's voice, this is pop music, we'd rather hear you. You've chanted this. And Prabhupada wrote back and he said two things, and I want to discuss what he said. He said, number one, this has been going on for so many years. He was writing from Vrindavan. He said, I'm in Vrindavan, we're doing it here. Why do you have to change it? Your disease is that you're always changing. Number two, he said, it's Sankirtan. In his saying Sankirtan, he meant it's so many people are singing. It's not just Jamuna singing. But of course, their point was, well, she's leading. Prabhupada didn't go there. He could have said many things to them. He just kept it simple. This is what we're doing. We don't need your new ideas. And so they're thinking from their perspective, but this is right in Prabhupada's books. So taking what he said, we really shouldn't be doing this. Prabhupada's saying it in a different way. When Prabhupada is hearing the Chintamani prayer sung by Jamuna and the other devotees, he's hearing her bhakti. He actually said she had bhava. That's what he's hearing. Of course, he's meditating on Krishna. We know that. Both things are going on, but her bhav, her mood, is one of the sources, at least, of Prabhupada's mood that he appreciates so much. And many of you know that in India, Prabhupada had Jamuna chanting in front of crowds of people all the time. He liked her chanting. He liked her mood, and he wanted other people to hear her mood. He wanted to share that. So now the brahmacharis are coming and saying, we don't want to hear Jamuna, who Prabhupada very much wanted to hear. Okay, there's a mixing of moods there. The point of changing, Western disease, we should know this. Don't change if you don't have to. If Prabhupada established something, it's working fine, nobody's having a problem, don't change it. Prabhupada didn't like changing. Now there's another thing that we should know that comes up in other situations in other letters, in which Prabhupada did not want the men, what should we say, to be immature in their dealings with the women. The men had this tendency to push the women away, push them back. They shouldn't give class, because if they give class, then, we have to look at them, we have to hear them, and then we're going to be influenced by them. So if we can just keep them back or keep them out of the temple. So at one time they wanted to keep them out of the temple. And Prabhupada said a similar thing. He said, this is not the procedure. This has never been done. Why are you changing this? And in the situation where they wanted Jamuna not to sing, he was saying, this is fine here in Vrindavan. It's fine for us. Why do you want to make something better? Like, why do you want to add to what I'm doing? Why do you want to add to what the Acharya is doing? They have never taught this. And then he said something. He said, well, how will you get away from women? You actually have to learn to be Krishna conscious, be mature, be strong, and then you'll have no problem dealing with women. He said, otherwise, if you want to get away from women, you have to go to the forest. And if you go to the forest, fine, there's no women, you'll have no problem, but we'll have another problem. Nobody's preaching because we're all in the forest. So when you understand everything contextually, then you start to see Prabhupada's heart, his mood. Don't change. This is Jamuna, she has bhav, appreciate the bhav. She's a Vaishnava, she's a woman. This is bhakti, that's what we're hearing. We're not hearing a woman's voice. And be mature, grow up, become strong. You can't avoid women. They're everywhere. If they understood Prabhupada's mood, when they read that purport, they would have read it in a different way, and they would have seen it, the practical application of that in a different way. This is one example. We could give many, but it's one example how if we don't know Prabhupada's mood, if we don't know his heart, if we don't know everything he said about something, we can misunderstand. So one thing I would like to recommend to all of you now, there's upwards of, I think, 80, 90 memory videos of Prabhupada, maybe even close to 100. Watch them. It will rock your world. It will change a lot of what you may have thought about Prabhupada and may change also how you understand what he taught. Because when you understand what he taught in relation to what he did by hearing from his own disciples of how he dealt with them, a lot of things change. A lot of things open up. That you gain a broader understanding, and you begin to understand it's not that you just understand with your head, but you try to understand through Prabhupada's heart what he was feeling, what he was seeing, what he was understanding, and how he applied it. And we could say so much more about this, but for now, I just wanted to get this message across because I think this is extremely important. Hare Krishna.